Minoran, everybody's favorite barbarian. So did you level him up? Is he like actually 20 level?
That is an excellent question. Yes, he is level 15 now.
Level 15.
I just chose to allow them to automatically level me up, so I don't actually know what my skills are.
Yeah.
This is going to be fantastic.
It is. It's the best way to play the game. It's like surprise. It'd be like a fun way to play. It's like you're not allowed to look at it. You're not allowed to look at the character screen. You got to rando pick a character and auto level him or her, and then you got to play with what you get.
Yeah, the just draft character sheets.
Yeah, it'll be like the Edge Master from Soul Calibur, where when the combat begins, your skills are different. I think that'd be fun.
Random heroes. I like it.
It'd be a totally different thing.
What do you think, guys? Is that the new game mode you want for Neverwinter Nights? Yeah. Random hero. Every time you change rooms.
Yeah, random character. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I reckon so. It would be super frustrating because I have trouble remembering my own abilities when I've chosen them. But
I saw. I think it was PC Gamer recently posted an interview that I did with Greg and Ray on Neverwinter just before launch.
Okay.
And it was kind of hilarious digging into it and seeing all the things we were talking about. And I was like, man, I was hardcore. I was this hardcore producer type guy.
Yeah. I
was loving it. I was totally into it, man.
Yeah, I get in that zone myself quite a bit. So I don't end up talking to the press very much, but
I was talking about essentially building, like Third Ed allowed you to build essentially a tank mage, where you could burn like, oh, I'm going to get a light, medium, and then heavy weapon or armor proficiency. I'm going to wear plate mail, and then I'm going to use the meta magic still spell, and I'm going to be able to cast while I'm wearing plate mail without the penalties.
Without your spellcasting penalties and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. You could do some really kooky builds with D&D too. That was one of the nice things about these games is that they were very accepting of your bullshit.
You have made many, many bad choices, my child, but go on and play it.
Yes.
So what you're seeing on the screen right now is Neverwinter Nights.
On mobile.
Neverwinter Nights is actually being played by Luke on the tablet right now.
Yep. On the Nexus. Oh, wait. No, this is the NVIDIA Shield. Nexus is at my desk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a number of Android devices, and this is one of them.
Yeah, and it's running quite smoothly, and I'm very happy with that. We're getting pretty close. We're actually going to be rolling out our beta pretty soon. So,
which is not an exact measure of time, but it will do.
It's about I mean, I could be more specific, but we still have a couple of bee bugs in our list that we want to get rid of before it goes prime time. So,
yeah, it will be soon, and one of those things is we've got a timeline we want, but at the same time we want to make sure it's worth the beta test. So, obvious crashes will be gone. We'll leave the non-obvious crashes for you guys to find.
Yeah.
Because that's, oh gosh, it's the drow.
Oh, yeah.
It's the drow invasion.
They're
Moral of the story, having a portal to the Underdark in the basement of your tavern, bad idea.
Yeah, just
bad idea.
Just cement that thing over.
Cement,
and
lock
call
doors.
It a day.
Just pour boiling oil down there.
I'm sure that they make some decent money out of tourism, but at the same time, it's like
adventurers will pay for us. Just put some kind of teleportation portal down there, and then wall that really thing off. Like seriously, people.
Running around in my chonies, battling with an offhand longsword, normal hand with a dulled knife.
You gotta work on that, man.
I am a master barbarian.
I am so into being a barbarian that I'm going to forget the best way to do my stuff.
I'm gunzerking. There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah. Should we move beyond the?
Should we actually talk about stuff?
Yeah. Let's talk about things that are not the video game. Well, we'll talk about things that are the video game, but without
actually playing the video game.
Yeah.
Because we played it quite a bit.
Yes.
So the moral of the story is Neverwinter on Android is actually really close.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite playable. The drive mode, the keyholing, a lot of big kind of improvements there.
I should at least show off keyholing because I think we've missed it every single time that we've been on stream.
It's one of those things I keep talking about.
Yeah, and I'm wondering that maybe even some people who aren't quite sure what we even mean when we're talking about that. But if you played modern sort of isometric style RPGs, you've probably seen this kind of effect where when you walk behind a piece of scenery or something like that, it will cause the scenery to sort of dynamically disappear from the camera, so it's not obscuring your character while you're wandering around.
So way back in the Neverwinter day, we did that by disappearing the second story stuff.
Yeah.
So now that actually doesn't have to happen anymore. We don't have to disappear second stories. You can actually see the character at all times, regardless of where they walk. And it's funny because when you see a screenshot of keyholing, it just doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
But when you start playing the game with it, you're like, how was this not in there initially? And the answer is because it used to crush frame rate.
Yeah,
but,
it used to be. It's a relatively expensive process by older standards, but now it's not so difficult for us to accomplish. So we toss it into the game because it was kind of an imperfect system before, right? Where removing just the second story on tall props was it definitely worked for its day, but like you could still have stuff show up in front of your character, a pillar that didn't have a second story set or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so
trees.
That's one of those little cosmetic things that I really advocated for.
It's a big win, and it really helps with the kind of playability of it,
yeah,
especially with the driving it around. So here's a question about Spone. What Spone? What phone specifications are required to run the game?
So we're actually still working out the min spec for the devices. We want to make sure that people that can run the game will be able to. And one of the nice things about Neverwinter, originally being a PC game, and having a lot of customizability as far as your graphic settings are concerned, is we do have a wide range, and you can turn a lot of stuff off and sort of get to min spec. We do have a couple of devices that just don't run the game very well, but we're fixing performance, and hopefully we'll be able to expand our list. But at the moment, we don't have a specific number.
Yeah, I think the rule of thumb we're kind of using internally is if it's shipped in the last couple of years, it should be fine.
We want you to be able to play it if you picked up this tablet.
If you picked up a tablet that is high-end Chinesium and you bought it 5 years ago, there may be problems.
Yeah. So we'll be publishing the min spec once we're closer to ship. It may be once we release the beta.
I think so, and we'll use the beta as kind of part of the feedback on it. It's like, oh, I'm playing the game on a Schniggle device, and it's a smoking pile, and we're like, okay, recommended. Don't play on this device.
Yeah, and I mean, just because you're going to basically be pre-purchasing and playing the game in early access for the beta, we are going to probably have to be a little bit conservative with what devices we ship it on, because if you buy it and then you're never going to have a device that'll run the game, that would really suck.
So somebody gave us some feedback there. It looks amazing. Thank you. Can we sign up for the beta through Google Play? And how do we play the beta? The answer is yes, we will be doing the beta through Google Play, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
When we're ready, when things are going to happen, we will shout it from the rooftops.
Absolutely. Yeah. But the process is standard for Google Play beta games. If you haven't done that before, basically in the Google Play Store, there's a setting where you can say opt in to beta, and that basically makes it so that games that are released in beta only in your country will show up to you as a beta build, and it'll have like a big warning saying that the game may be unstable because it's in a beta state.
Yes. So here's a bit of feedback and a question. Hordes of the Underdark is an excellent expansion. Thank you. Yes. It's one I'm actually quite proud of. There are some unfinished quests, such as Enserix, the Living Sword quest, and the opportunity to have the Valsharess as a companion or to have a romance with her. She's an evil drow, man. Don't go there. That leads to sadness.
Some people just like that.
That is like sadness, man. That is a recipe for sadness.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna make any major changes to that. Really, it's getting it going on the tablet here.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever want to go and enable a Valsharess romance. That would be bad. That would be like so bad. Have you ever read any of the drow books? Women are nasty.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the drow, right?
It's like,
they're very unfriendly people.
It's a matriarchal society. Mm-hmm. Men are used for sending off and dying.
Yep.
Go die well. Powerless thing.
Yeah.
They're not so nice. Question
Unless
mark.
you're turned into a Drider, and then it's even worse.
Well,
right?
Drider, they just don't even. They're like, the bug thing will go and die. The bug thing.
Yeah.
Achievements? Question mark.
Question mark. Yes. Period. It's happening. We're still working on them.
We're totally getting into this vibe of punctuation. It's all about the punctuation.
Elise is still working on them. We have a list of achievements that we're working off of right now and getting them all added into the game. We have some general achievements. We have some achievements that are based around the Wailing Death campaign, and we're also going to have some achievements for Shadows of Unrintide and Hordes of the Underdark as well. But that is all I'm telling you guys right now, because I'm going to keep it kind of secret. But yeah, they're going to be coming out with the Android build, and we are also planning them on Google Play and Steam.
Here's a question. Yep. Does the beta equal purchase the game, get to participate in the beta, and then get the game on release?
Yes.
I like one sentence or one word
word answers.
Yes.
That's how the beta system works. Basically, it's like pre-purchasing the game and then getting the option to play it in beta state.
So here's a question: will you ever consider adding the content from the NWN EE community patch released by Shadow? It contains thousands of content fixes which can save you hours and hours of work. We actually included most of those fixes before we launched. So the NWN EE actually has a lot of those fixes already put into it. Mm-hmm. So we specifically worked with the community to put those in before we even went live.
Yeah, and if there are community patches, community fixes and stuff like that that have been created that we don't already have but have been we've been given permission to use, it's a matter of reminding us about those, I guess, and making sure that we can get them in there. So. Yep.
So here's another question.
Oh yeah.
Any news on the HD overhaul for PC? So I don't know if I want to call it an HD overhaul. Cam's going in and he's taking a look at the engine and he's looking at ways to take it from kind of the 1997 era of OpenGL and then kind of into the modern 2015 to 2018 era of OpenGL. I think he's basically past the 5th level of hell right now, and he's in the 6th level of hell.
Into the city of death.
Yeah, so he's got some stuff working, but at the same time, I think he's just run face first into the particles and the materialing system.
Right.
So that's going to leave a mark. That's going to be some hard work on him.
Ongoing work. Yeah. But it is, so the rendering update is going to be sort of the first component of that. We do have the HD models, but because we're doing a rendering update, we need to be sure that it's all going to be compatible.
Yeah, there's a lot of nightmares left. Poor bastard Cam.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
He's very enthusiastic about it. So.
Are developers in Beamdog having a 100-hour work week like devs at Rockstar? No. Yeah, we're
not in the least.
Yeah, I think we talked about putting in some overtime on a project, and it was like, hey, let's stay till 6 p.m. and would you get something done before we go for dinner?
Yeah, 6 o'clock is overtime here, pretty much.
Yeah, I think the truth of it is that game development is like a marathon, and if you watch a marathon, every once in a while, there's this dude who's like. And he breaks out, and he's running, and he's going past everybody, and he runs out of gas. And then everybody passes him by, and then he finishes right at the very back of the pack because he burned out. He blew the energy that he had too early. So my whole philosophy on game development is it's okay to do a sprint. It's okay to do some overtime. It's okay to do something, to do some hard work to accomplish something amazing.
Something specific and amazing.
Crunching beyond about a week and a half, 2 weeks, you're just burning yourself out. Yeah. And you're going to lose that institutional knowledge. Those people are going to be less valuable as you're getting close to trying to final a game. It just does not make sense. It's bad practice.
Yeah.
And having lived through it myself, I mean, at BioWare, the crunch was always... it was always a gray area. Nobody mandated and said, you're going to work 100-hour week. It was always like, so this needs to get done. And there's a little time left. And see Bob over there? Bob's working really hard. Are you working hard? Because Bob's working really hard. Are you letting Bob down? Because Bob's thinking you let him down. Bob's kind of looking at you with the stink eye right now. So
yeah,
I'm not saying you got to work a ton of hours, but Bob's outworking you. So there was always a lot of guilt.
Guilting into overtime. I've seen that.
Very Christian, very
community focused.
Exactly.
Overtime. Yeah, no, not here. Like for context, Neverwinter mobile team is in finaling mode right now. I hope that didn't kill anything.
It's just a mouse. They bounce.
Yep. Yeah, we're in finaling mode right now. We're in our bug gauntlet, and the whole team is actively focused on it. But I find that crunch is a failing of your producer. And being the producer, I don't want to allow that kind of thing. So we set a realistic timeline, and we're unfortunately, like, Trent is receptive to realistic timelines.
Well, I've done it. I've been through it, and exactly. I know when you're kind of blowing smoke up my ass.
Yeah.
It's like, I won't get this done in a week. It's like,
no, you won't.
You might get that core, a little bit of functionality done in a week, breaking 5 other things, slowing everything else down, and then it won't hit QA.
And pissing off your programming team.
Yeah, let's think about this. What you proposed in a week, it's probably 3 weeks before we'll get a stable, reasonable version out of it. So here's another question.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between the development build and the stable build for NWN EE? It's a question I hear a lot. So development build is the current version of the code that we are working on. Yep. We push a build to development for the community to test and to verify that the features are working and they're happy with them, and to get their feedback on kind of new features. So think about the dev build as this is the playground where all the new stuff is. Whereas the live build, that is the main build. Yep. We don't want to break the live build. So if we're playing with a new feature, we push it into the dev build and we let people test it and verify, yes, this is working and we're happy with it. So for example, right now, NW Sync. NW Sync is up and running in the dev build and not in the main line.
Yeah.
So once we're pretty happy with how it's working in dev, and once a lot of people have hit it and we're not getting a lot of problems reported, then we'll move it to mainline.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they call it stable. It is the stable build. There is nothing in it that we believe to be broken, right? We've tested it thoroughly. We are happy to call it the current main active live build. But we do ship these dev builds, like 8184 is probably going out today. As soon as Bernard is finished writing up patch notes, we're probably going to be pushing that through unless a red flag comes up from QA, but it hasn't so far.
So there was a question from Degeldoppel. It was Arcanum EE when? Just because Phil asked, never.
Oh man.
Never. Now
look what you did.
Never. Here's the next question. Will the Infinity Engine patch come before the end of the year?
2.6, yes.
Yeah.
That's on our list of things to do. And yes, so 2.6 will be coming out in tandem with the Dice Camera Action Pack, and both of those are slated before end of year.
Here's another question. Are you looking for junior developers or just mid-level / senior developers? I think we're looking for a good mix. We've had quite a few juniors apply. We've hired a couple of juniors, and they're actually doing well. So I think the right answer, I think way back in the day when he was working on Spore, Will Wright kind of said what he loved from a team mix. He loved a certain percentage of seniors, a certain mix of mids, and then a certain percentage of new programmers. I kind of like those ideas. I like the numbers there. I mean, with senior devs, you get a lot of the, hey, I know how to do this. Yeah, I can solve the problem. They don't spend a lot of time writing excess code. But at the same time, they're kind of tired. And they're tired from taking on crazy challenges. And sometimes what makes a game great is when you do something that's actually kind of silly. And you're like, I think it can be done. And new programmers can actually bring that to the team where they're like, I'm going to do the silly thing. And you're like, oh, man, I'm old. I know that silly thing, that is a ton of work. and it's like 80% likely it's not going to work. Whereas a young, newer dev might go for it. And sometimes they'll come through the dark. They'll come through the valley of the shadow of death, and they'll come out the other side with this amazing feature. So I think allowing that initiative and that enthusiasm and that just fresh love of making games, sometimes you can get some amazing things out of it. And sometimes you just turn a really enthusiastic developer into a slightly old and cynical developer just a little faster. It kind of happens.
Yeah, and then you get crazy barbarian programmers like Sam on my team who will just kick the door down and completely tear something apart.
I will smash my face against this until it submits.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great things are achieved.
So here was a question on 2.6. What will the 2.6 patch do? It's mostly data fixes.
Yeah. Fixing up a number of rules problems that we had with some spells that are currently still not working the way that they should. Things like also chain lightning had some weird effects, weird things that were happening to it. There's a handful of them. There's not a whole lot of major feature overhaul work that was done for this one. It's mostly just housekeeping type stuff.
Well, that and adding the portrait support for multiplayer. So if you have custom portrait and you join somebody's server, they'll see your custom portrait.
Exactly. That's cool. Sort of the main feature of this one is up until this point, if you had an additional portrait added into the game via DLC, it did not. Just like loading it into your override folder, it was not visible to other players. And so you would have this DLC portrait that you bought, like Faces of Good and Evil, but your friends would not be able to see that in-game. We have, with 2.6, created a system by which if you buy the Dice Camera Action Pack portraits and you're playing a character with Strix's face and Strix's voice set, your friends will also see Strix's face and voice set. So if you had 4 of your friends together...
They won't see the voice set, they'll hear the voice set.
They'll hear it, sorry. Yes. unless you're synesthetic, and then you would see it too.
So we should probably do the marketing stuff for your
Yes, why don't we jump on to marketing news?
Beamdog news, we're still hiring stuff.
Yes.
You can, Dan, you can leave all those questions up. We'll get back to them. So we're looking for web devs, programmers. We're looking for lead programmer.
Yep.
So that should be fun.
For me.
Quality assurance and some technical artists.
Yes.
So we are looking. We also have a new posting up for network and systems admin. So this is a bit more than just desktop support. This is going to be kind of also like almost like DevOps.
Yeah.
So really your job is keep the machine running behind the scenes, which means like SVN, get everything, and then as well keeping servers up and happy, Linux instances, basically keeping all the machines that keep Beamdog up and humming.
Yeah,
up and running.
Since we have like the Beamdog client and stuff like that also involved with, we have a network infrastructure that needs a lot of love. So
so the reason I use the buzzword DevOps is it's operations, but you need to support the developers as well because you've got Git, SVN, and so on.
Absolutely. So
that's why I use DevOps. So don't hassle me about DevOps being all buzzwordy.
Do you get hassled about that?
Right there. No buzzword DevOps. I'm watching you.
You got called out.
Yeah. So we should give away a T-shirt. Hey, I don't know if you can see this T-shirt. It is the exact T-shirt that Luke is wearing.
Yes.
Well, it is a Planescape T-shirt. Yeah, I kind of like it. I might just keep it,
I'm pretty sure we have a box of them.
We have some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to give it away, and we're going to give it away to Airman 1991.
Congratulations, Airman 1991.
You have a PS T-shirt.
A Planescape Torment.
Yeah, which I think there's about 200 in the world right now.
And this may be the first one we gave away.
I think so.
Airman 1991.
Well done.
Blazing a trail.
Well done.
All right.
Marketing news. You should sign up to our newsletter.
Yes.
Because that way we can keep you updated on all the crazy things we're doing.
Yep. You'll know exactly when everything goes out because as soon as we press the button, we also press a button on our newsletters and social media stuff. Yep. So, sign up for the newsletter, follow us on Twitter, and do all of those things because that's how you stay informed aside from just coming and joining us on Fridays.
Exactly. As well, Siege of Dragonspear is currently on sale on Google Play, and it should be on sale on iOS as well, but apparently buttons were clicked improperly. That was me. I clicked the wrong buttons. So it's on for $2.99.
Yay!
USD. So wherever you are in the world, that will transform into some magical number.
Yep. About $20 Canadian.
Yep. It's not great right now.
The US dollar too strong.
So other big things. Yes. NWN Sync is in the dev build. Yes. Please test it because we're going to push it. When we push it live, if it breaks things horribly, we'll blame everybody for not testing the dev build. It's all your fault. You could have tested this in development, but you chose not to. Boo on you. Boo, yes. Boo.
And that is actually one of the things that 8184 does, which is the new dev build that we are going to be shipping today, and we're going to continue to test leading up to the stable release with NWSync, which is it's a follow-up patch. It improves client-side storage, which is required to make it work on 32-bit Android systems as well, where the max file size is 2 gigabytes, because some older file systems couldn't understand files that were larger than 2 gigabytes for
and I think that kind of touches the big points.
Yeah.
Persistent World Ravenloft.
Yes.
Ravenloft is up and running, so that's one of the persistent worlds you can test with dev.
They have a the Ravenloft Persistent World is actually having a Halloween Play a New Character event.
Oh yeah,
right
I
now.
saw
So
that.
if you wanted to test out a new Persistent World, the players over there at Prisoners of the Mist are doing this event until Sunday, November 4th.
Sunday.
Sunday's being the end of things. It's less exciting that way, but it's already happening. Yeah. So you can jump onto Ravenloft, Prisoners of the Mist, and Prisoners, I believe. I just see Ravenloft down here, so I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. Apologize, Soren, if that is wrong. You jump on, create a new character. Everybody's doing new characters right now, so you're awesome. On even playing ground, and it'll be a lot of fun.
You could try the pick a rando character challenge.
There you go, that we talked about this morning.
Yep. Rando character challenge.
Roll everything randomly and create a character based off of it.
The other thing is the beta. Keep an eye out on the social media channels for beta sign-up links. When we're ready to go, we will message it out. Oh, I got a question here.
Yes.
Question for Trent. Does he remember the process was for designing the sound for all the creatures? Of course I do. The process was... what did Baldur's Gate do? Yeah, let's rip that. No, in terms of figuring out the sound design of what every monster sounded like and creating kind of its distinct sounds that this is what this creature should sound like. A lot of that came from sitting down with the monster manual, reading through kind of the descriptions, and wherever possible, we kind of used real animal analogs. So it's like, this is a bugbear, okay?
Half bug, half bear.
Yeah. So what the hell was a half bear, half bug sound like? Well, it's got bear in it, so let's roll with the bear. Bugs, forget the bugs. It's kind of a similar thing. Umber Hulk, it's like, so what would an angry 10-foot cockroach sound like?
Oh, man.
Oh, God. And it can do the madness or the confusion thing with its eyes, so you got to play on that. Mostly it's grown men sitting around in a booth goofing off.
Yep.
Yep, and saying, ooh, that sounds cool. Let's blend those two together. Hey, that's kind of cool. I think the best thing I ever saw on sound design was an article about LucasArts on the Full Throttle game. They were interviewing the sound designer, and he was talking about what he did to make the motorcycles have kind of character. And he was like, he blended in some lion with the sound of it. And there was
I read about that.
It was a great article.
Yeah, LucasArts did a lot. Well, I mean, like they were kind of trailblazers also with like audio system stuff with the iMuse system that they created.
Guys were huge, man.
Yeah,
giants.
I remember Monkey Island too, like going into different rooms and the music like dynamically transitioning into the next song.
They were giants.
Fantastic.
Giants. Here's a question.
Yes.
Will there be new translations for BG2?
Icewind Dale. Wait, ID2? Okay. Well, Icewind Dale 2 is not the thing right now for us, but Baldur's Gate 2, new we have people actively working on translations all the time. Yep. We do not have an ETA right now because our translation teams are volunteers, and they're working at the pace that they can. But these are people with real other full-time jobs for the most part. So as soon as they have something available for us to ship, we will ship it.
Yep. Here's another question. If I purchase all the extra characters for BG1/BG2 from in-app purchases and the new portraits and sound pack, will I be able to reinstall them after I wipe my phone? Yeah, it's going to key to your account.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is there's a refresh in-app purchase button.
Restore purchases.
And it restores your purchases. So you just got to look for that button.
Yeah, so this is not like a consumable download that you would get from your average free-to-play game where you buy diamonds, and as soon as you spend them, they're gone. No, this just gets added to your account as a separate SKU, and then if you re-download the game, there's this restore purchases thing that will basically just make all of the things come back. Yep. So don't worry about losing them.
Yeah, so another question there. Any news on the content creation tools? Aside from the MTR and the maps, we're still making stuff the same way we did 10 years ago. So part of the graphics engine revisit is kind of a look at the tool and the tool chain to get stuff into the game. Mm-hmm. We had a chat on that on, I believe it was like on Monday.
Yeah, that sounds right. Monday or
Tuesday it was. And we're thinking about stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately it's going to come down to what's going to make the game run well and what's an efficient way for us to get content into the game. At the same time, we can't just go and break everything that's out there, at least without some kind of upgrade process to support getting it into any new formats or anything that comes along. So the answer is we're trying to step it forward. We'll see how the research comes out.
Yeah, with like the new rendering system being created, like that's going to necessitate us updating our creation tools as well. So. Yep. But the things that we currently have in mind are going to be pretty exciting for people who are doing modern modeling. So,
I think it will be a pretty big change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's a question about Seda Sabil was among the NPCs which were planned to play a great role in the plot of the Neverwinter Nights original campaign, but the plans were canceled. Will it be restored? Sedas was never huge. She always kind of had a role to play, but it was never a massive one. She was kind of, I don't know. There's a bit of content we cut for her, but it wasn't a ton. Like I guess there was no master huge plans. It's kind of the nature of game development. When we make plans, we always kind of leave things open-ended, and then when we cut things, everybody assumes that there was this great massive plan, and the plan was like, Cetus will do cool things, ... So.
Yeah, that's. I've seen many a design document where it's like, fill in this space later.
Yeah.
And nobody did.
Yeah, TBD, to be determined.
That said, like maybe there was like a specific roadmap, but at the moment we don't.
CEDOS, there are no big plans for there.
Yep.
Here's a question. So will NWN Mobile work with NWSync? Yes. That is one of the main reasons we rolled NWSync when we did, is we want people to be able to join persistent worlds and play, and we want to be able to support custom content. So NWSync will work with your device, but it's going to be easy to saturate your device in terms of memory. So be aware of that.
Yeah, and depending on the state of NWSync and how well it plays with mobile, it may be not be there for the first release, but at the very least patch 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Is proximity chat / voice possible? So I assume you're meaning I'm using a microphone headset and I'm chatting and you can only hear my character when I'm close to your character. It's possible. The question is, would we do it? At that point, we'd have to kind of integrate some kind of chat system. Historically, we've always kind of relied on a partner. Like way back in the day, it was Roger Wilco. I think if we did it today, it'd be Discord. So I think the answer is probably not. It's just building a game and then building in a complete chat and voice communication system. That's a lot of extra work.
Yeah,
I'd rather make games as opposed to making chat.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that would have to go into that in order to get it working for, especially like mobile and so on.
So here's a question about: are there any plans to change the way shadows work in Neverwinter? So part of the graphics engine rewrite is rebasing things and rebuilding. The existing stencil-based shadows are going to go away, and in their place would be a different shadow solution.
Yeah.
So shadows, yes, they will change.
Yeah, we're doing a complete rewrite of the way that all that stuff behaves.
Yeah, we kind of have to. I mean, stencil shadows, there was this kind of narrow timeline where everything made a lot of sense, and after that, stencil shadows just became it's kind of an outdated technique. So you're pretty much going to walk away on it. Here's a little bit of feedback. The Enseric Sword Quest was not finished. It needs improvement, please. offhand, I haven't seen any plans to address that.
I mean, it'll have to be either way. It would have to be after we finish the current feature development. But
the best thing I can say is, if you talk about it on the forums and it gets enough support, it will make it onto the Trello. At which point we will take a look at it.
Yeah. I mean, there was talk about like director's cuts and stuff like that, and so if we move forward on that full, I'm pretty sure director's cuts are usually longer than the film release, but
they're bad directors. I'm a much better director. But, my vision is tight and pure.
Once we get to that point, if that would be when we would address that.
Yeah. Question. Android release? ? The answer is yes.
There will be. It's not today.
Not today.
but it is soon.
But soon, because we're not going to leave it in beta forever. So.
But yeah, as previously mentioned, the beta is coming very soon. So you guys should be able to get your hands on it pretty cleanly pretty soon. Yeah, so we'll be announcing that formally on our social media as soon as it's ready to go. So sign up for the newsletter. It'll go out and be in your email inbox as soon as it's ready to grab.
Yep. So there's a question here: how much room on the hard drive?
So
I could take that in so many different ways. I'm going to assume I will make many assumptions around that. One of them is you were talking about Android and you're talking about playing it on a device. You'll basically have a cache size you'll be able to set.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to play a server that just requires more than you have set, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I think standard install size, because we include a couple of additional modules with the game, is and as well as like Shadows of Undertide and Hordes of the Underdark and Wailing Death, and all of the art and other assets that go with that. It's about 6 gigabytes total.
Yeah.
And then if you go onto a persistent world and use NWSync to download any additional content, then that's going to balloon additionally. 8184 will limit individual file sizes to 2 gigabytes per, but you can download a 2 gigabyte package, and that will just continue to balloon unless you limit it, basically.
Yep. So this is one of the reasons we suggested a device from the last 2 years, because
another reason,
before that, big storage was kind of expensive. Last 2 years, it's at least gone down.
Yeah, 64s and 128s and stuff like that are a little bit more common.
Let's just say with Android, your SD card is your friend.
Yes.
You want to get a big one. Big. Here's another question. Any Amazon releases planned? No. We actually aren't going to do the Android stuff, or the Amazon stuff.
Yeah, Kindle Fire and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are yet another massive undertaking.
Yeah, the biggest thing isn't that we don't like Amazon. We do like Amazon.
Yeah.
The biggest thing comes down to how their store system and their validation system works. Mm-hmm. It's basically we got to duplicate an entire purchase path for the game, for the DLC, and then we've got to build this entire provisioning system that allows, oh, you did buy this, then you can restore this purchase. So it's just a lot of hassle for a market that we've kind of looked at and said it's not quite big enough for us from a commercial standpoint. Here's a question. Yes. NWN Battle Royale when? I think there was a really good version about probably a year and a half ago that I saw. There's a 96-player combat. It wasn't exactly the Battle Royale formula we know today, but
you could totally do it.
You could build it. Like NWN Battle Royale when somebody builds it.
Yeah.
Why doesn't somebody build it? You should build it.
If you want to create an NWN Battle Royale and put a decent amount of time into it and use redistributable assets and stuff like that, you want to work with us?
You make it really cool. We'll play it on the stream, and we'll shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the second time this stream I've said that. Now I got that song in my head. Neverwinter Fortnights.
There you go.
You're a funny man, Dan. Funny man, Dan. Are there any plans for a 5e system for Neverwinter Nights? Currently, nothing concrete. I mean, part of the rewrite, we send Cam down to the 6th level of hell on the graphics engine. Once he emerges from that, the graphics engine will be subdued, and at that point, I have many, many more missions for Cam. Many.
Yeah.
Many of the missions.
And sort of on the longer term roadmap, we do have opening up the rule sets for more customization and stuff like that. So depending on how much additional changes we can do without completely fundamentally breaking the game, it may become fairly easy to do.
Yep.
But no promises on that right now, and specifically building 5e is not on our roadmap.
Not on our roadmap. Here's a question. I have too many characters envisioned, lined up. How do I pick one for my first ever NWN playthrough? The answer is do exactly what I do. Clayman Oren is your friend.
Select pre-made, go
Select
to Clayman
pre-made,
Oren.
Clayman Oren. He is a barbarian.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
I inherited that from Trent somehow as well.
I need a character who will survive longer than 5 minutes. Yeah. Barbarians have lots of hit points. He will do.
He is a bag of meat with a sword. Well, an axe, really.
Yep. The right answer is always take more hit points.
Always play Clayman.
Yep. Clayman will get you where you need to go.
Barbarian. Fantastic.
It's all about the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Here's a suggestion. Add a DLC with Trent being king in a new land. Actually, it's called Trentlandia. And there are a series of documents describing Trentlandia that I can't share because they're confidential. Let's just say I've been playing Borderlands and there's some parallels there. There's some parallels. Handsome Jack, Trentlandia. There's some good.
So this is going to be Dark Sun.
Some good crossover there. Let's just say I like the cut of that Jack's jib.
Oh man.
How hard is it? Here's a question. How hard is it to make a custom game engine?
Oh my goodness, it's very hard.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Like it's brutally hard.
Yeah.
The what it comes down to is just there's so much effort involved in building it out. Like you have to handle everything from how do I load files? What format are files stored in? How do I manage memory? How do I oversee everything? And in many cases, like trying to do really high performance stuff with some of the modern languages like C# or one of those that does garbage collection and a lot of that for you, they're not smart about how they do their garbage collection. They don't know, oh, you're going to be burning through this bit of memory constantly. This is kind of stuff you'd want on a small heap versus, oh, this is larger bits of data that are going to hang around longer. They can't optimize around that. So you really have to kind of optimize around that when you build the engine. And modern rendering techniques, it comes down to, hey, I'm going to build a graphics engine. Okay, here's about 30 white papers on kind of the leading edge of stuff. Here's how it's all done. Here's how you do PBR. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. So you get really acquainted with all the math, and then you start building the underlying framework that can support it. Meanwhile, learning the art tool side so that you can export content. Then you pull it in. The answer is making a game engine is kind of like repeatedly punching yourself in the face for about 6 years.
Yeah, it is not trivial.
There's a reason people license Unreal.
Yeah, I have a friend. Back in my indie days, I had a friend who had an inkling to create a, not even a full-on engine, just a couple of tools. And allocating memory, just the act of creating a system by which it could allocate memory took like 3 weeks alone. Yeah, and that's like the first thing you do.
Yeah, file open. Okay, now I need a memory manager. Okay, now I got a memory manager. Now I need to open an OpenGL instance. Like I wrote an OpenGL renderer back 97, 96, just to kind of familiarize myself. And it wasn't horrible to do. I mean, it was the whole GL push, GL pop kind of era. So it was logical at least. But things have come so far since then. It's terrifying. So, and the question is why? Why are you making a custom game engine? What do you want to do that you can't do? Like Unreal is 5%. 5%. Yeah. So if you think about it, they're probably spending 10, 20, 30, $50 million a year on dev, pushing that engine forward, adding capabilities, improving what that thing can do, supporting it. How are you going to compete with that?
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you're concerned about licensing fees, like most of the major engines, Unity and Unreal, have waived licensing fees for small studios like at this point.
Unity, what you pay like $1,500 a seat for Pro,
I think,
and then you're
that's
free
like
and
if
clear.
you want like dev support and stuff like that. If you're a small 10 or less man studio,
and I don't think if you make under I forget the number, but if you make under a certain number of money with Unreal, they don't even charge you royalties on it.
Yep.
So we're getting a reminder here that we should look at Trello.
Trello,
and we should answer the forum questions because I just like answering questions.
Yes, we get lots of questions.
I'm impressionable. Stuff pops up on the screen. I start responding.
Yep. Trello's up on screen, so let's take a look.
Trello.
We're doing it on the tablet today. So it's going to be a little
I
smaller
love doing
than
it
usual,
on the tablet.
But, last week when we attempted to switch from tablet to PC back to tablet, audio got seriously borked. So,
moral of the story is never switch.
Yes.
Never change a thing.
Do things in one place.
Change.
So yes, let's take a quick look here at what we have in long and short-term active. Short-term active, TrueType fonts.
TrueType fonts.
Which, of course, are currently already in the mobile builds and will be moving on to the PC build after we are able to do so.
Yep.
But that's why it is not just straight up into one of the development builds. But
soon, my friends.
Yes, it is active. Once again, it is working on mobile. So
you should ban that word for developers.
Soon?
You can't use soon.
What would we say? Presently? Eventually?
Dan just said that I sound like Skeletor. I don't sound like Skeletor. Skeletor's all high and nasally. I got a little more boom.
The next build is coming in a week.
That's much more Skeletor. I had to say, for a guy with a skull for a head, he's pretty buff.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like, I kind of expect the rest of him to be all scully, but...
no, that man lifts.
Yep. He lifts, bro.
He's purple. He lifts. He's got the skull for a face. He's a perfect man.
Dan just suggested I cosplay Skeletor. And the answer is no.
It is Dia de los Muertos today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do the face.
See, the problem is I'd have to try and do the voice, and then it just wouldn't work. It just would not work.
I have a D&D character who is a lich monk who uses Skeletor's voice, and it's fantastic.
That pretty much is Skeletor.
Yeah. The kick lich.
Although he must covet a sword.
Yeah.
So back to Trello.
Yes.
We're focused.
Focusing on things. Difficult. Bring NWN EE to mobile devices. Yes.
Just about done.
Soon. We should split this off between Android and iOS because iOS is still a ways off, and consoles is listed here, and Android is the only thing that's within this time
consoles.
Frame, so. 64 bits. We have a 64-bit branch that is working and apparently is stable. We need to do a merge of the main code base.
There literally has to be a lockstep. Android has to go out. Then we have to merge the Android fixes into mainline. Then we got to merge the 64-bit into mainline. Then we've got to rebase everything, and then we can ship it forward.
Yes. So Q1 next year, hopefully, I think is reasonably possible, but once again, we just don't know yet for sure. Presently, more portraits. The camera action pack is
working
on the way.
Working on it.
There's also the team pack, which is coming out pretty soon. We've started to get the audio files back, and they are amazing. I had Dan running around in Baldur's Gate yesterday on my computer, and it was fantastic. And Icewind Dale. So that eventually I'm going to make a party just of all of you guys. It's going to be great.
I did that with XCOM.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was that's the thing you do with XCOM,
and then,
right? Just name all of your soldiers after your friends and then be upset when they die. Horribly.
Yeah, and then you just add a 2 onto the next guy. It's okay, Dan, 7. Yeah. Life goes on, buddy.
Your best soldier just stepped out of the Sky Ranger and got blown away.
Yep.
Before you even see the alien.
Yeah, that is XCOM.
Yeah, I think one time I had a rocket just come into my Sky Ranger.
I had that in the original XCOM. I stepped my first guy out, explored, and then somebody sent a rocket in and wiped out my entire squad. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
My awesome cleanup crew with the flying suits the waypoint-based football that explodes at the end.
The blaster bomb.
Blaster bomb. That's
blaster bomb. So here's a question: who's making those portraits? The answer is yes. There are people, and they are making the portraits.
Yep.
Actually, these portraits we're working with a couple external firms, so we're actually looking at contracting them out. Mm-hmm. So we're testing out a couple of vendors right now because we really want to hit the quality level, especially with the DCA. We want to hit that. They have to feel like Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
They really have to feel.
Yeah, and our internal artists are focused on other things at the moment.
And Dan's saying, Dan wants his portrait done Baldur's Gate quality.
Dan has a portrait. It's not approved
Dan's
yet.
is not approved. It's
That's
a little blurry.
Yeah, a little soft in places. So
yeah,
we do need to clean that up.
Dan will never have a portrait.
It's on the cleanup list.
Yep. Sorry, Dan.
Yep. Option to toggle brightness / a gamma slider. That is in the latest dev build.
Yes.
Yes. So dev build that went out last week does have the gamma included now. So, yay, that one's going in. That should actually probably be on 8183 unless I'm mistaken, Niv. He says it's...
What's this in the chat? They're discussing what I'm drinking? Dear God, man.
It's...
You told them about my whole...
coffee plus
chocolate
milk?
In order to be on for the stream, I go pretty hardcore. So I do some kind of venti drink from Starbucks, and then I do a quad espresso with a little bit of hot chocolate in here. And I'm usually almost done it by the time the stream ends.
And I have become a convert as well. I caught Trent in the kitchen one of these
mixing in the hot chocolate
month and a half ago or something like that. Just watching him put hot chocolate into a big old mug of this thing full of coffee.
It's a Stein.
The Stein, the yawning portal mug.
Yes.
And I was like, that is genius.
Which is
homemade mocha.
Yeah. This has actually ruined me because now every time I order coffee, I'm disappointed. I'm like, can I get it Stein sized? Needs to be bigger. Can I get a box? Like one of those team boxes? I'll just get a box made up. That would be awesome.
What else we got here? Update SDL.
We got a lot of things.
Yeah. Open up premium modules for module editing and building. Yeah.
I believe that one's almost done.
Yeah. Getting close on that one. Play movie function. I don't actually.
Oh, we should look at the forum questions.
Oh,
so
yeah. Let's get to the forum questions. We're way off track today. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a question on Android and iOS versions of NWN come out. Will it be easy to transfer DLC from the Steam version, or will I have to buy them again? Because of the way the platforms are set up, you'll have to buy them again. Mm-hmm. Like when you get DLC on Steam, we have no way of iOS querying Steam or Android querying Steam or Steam querying iOS. They're all separate little ecosystems, and in order to make it play well, we gotta sell it on each platform. That's as well part of kind of the store rules. You have to buy the stuff through the platform. So there's not much we can do there.
Yep.
Here's a question. On the IE front, has Trent had time to fully read the open letter from the community to finish the Siege of Dragonspear stories in BG2 EE? Yes, I have read the letter through in its entirety, and I like the concept. I like what you guys are suggesting, but I don't think we can do it. Simply, I just don't think it's a viable project from a commercial standpoint. Once I start adding up voice actors, mastering fees, studio time, everything, we're a couple $100,000, and at that point, I just don't think that piece of DLC can make that back. Especially once we pay Steam cut, Wizards cut, the economics just don't work. So, I love the concept, I love the idea, and if somebody wants to make it as a mod in the community, that would be awesome, and we would totally support it and point people at it. But commercially, it's just something we can't chase. So, sorry. IE, you don't give an ETA, but can we expect 2.6 soon?
Yes, soon. The 2.6, like we said earlier in the stream, is due before the end of the year. So, and sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Toward the end of the year.
But before the end of the year.
Yes.
I have Luke committing to that.
Yep. 2.6, yeah. 2.6 is in good shape.
He's committed. Yeah. Committed.
Yeah. I commit to dates to Trent specific. Like, he knows all of these things that I tell him. I don't want to tell you guys.
I just sometimes forget dates. And then I'm like, what did we say about that again?
Yep.
That was sometime this year, right? Good.
And then I tack on a couple of days quietly.
I'm going to write shit down now. So here's a Neverwinter question.
It's all in confidence.
Can we get an update on the iOS version of NWN EE?
So that is on the roadmap after Android.
Yes.
Yeah. So Android will ship, and then we will start doing the porting process over to iOS.
One of the reasons is iOS needs a 64-bit.
Yeah.
So Android does not. So that's the reason Android went first.
Yeah. And then Android will also be updated to 64-bit as well.
Exactly.
In sort of tandem.
Oh, here's another question. You mentioned there's a new lighting model for NWN EE. Is there any ETA? How difficult do you expect transition of current locations to the new lighting model to be? So the new lighting model, I don't know. Cam is literally, he's in the 6th level of hell on it. And he is crawling through the bodies, and he is murdering his way through that engine. He's going to pop out the other side at some point, and we'll have a prototype of it, and we'll probably share that around in a limited group. And once we get it reasonably stable, I mean, the goal is to not force you to go through and rebuild all of the existing content for the game. It'll work with the existing, especially the official campaign, the original campaign and all of that stuff. But in order to get the best out of it, you're going to want to build new content, or you're going to want to go in and relight stuff.
Yeah, because
it's going to be a big change. Like we're basically saying, oh wow, that whole lighting pre-bake, stencil shadows, that all goes away, and in its place comes in blank. Yeah, and Cam is just defining blank right now. So.
Yeah, and it's as not that like old content will not be fully utilizing all of the new things that are possible to do. So you may want to go in anyway and update your levels and stuff like that. So.
Here's a question. What's the status of bringing 3.1.4 update for PST EE to platforms beyond Steam?
So it is in progress, but our teams are small, and we're firing on all cylinders on 2.6 and on NWN in mobile. So it's mostly a matter of when can we commit the QA time to it and get all the correct artifacts built through Jenkins and all of that. So
here's a question on Neverwinter. Any chance the NWN EE toolset can be released as a standalone under tools on Steam? It's technically feasible. I want to play while being on the toolset. So I'm not sure I understand that. Right now, you have to exclusively run one.
You have to run one, or
just because of the way the Steam system is provisioned.
Because the way we get it packaged, I'll have to look into that. If it's just if like you can run Aurora toolset but not the game.
You could probably just make a shortcut onto your desktop and run it.
Yeah, there may be some like I tested it out when I saw this question, and there was a weird authentication issue with that. So we'll have to look into it.
We'll poke into it. If it's something we can do easily, totally. If it's not something we can do easily, we probably won't do it.
Yeah.
So easy wins.
Yep.
If not easy, no. Number 8.
All right.
Any further plans to remove create creature off screen from scripts?
Right.
I'm currently playing on 2.5, and I can see that there's been some effort put into fixing the issue with the crew and encounter, but the function is still causing bugs with other events such as vampire encounters, quest givers, and bandit attacks.
Yeah, so create creature off screen the way that it previously worked can cause certain NPCs and creatures and stuff like that to just behave weirdly and badly. And we have seen that, and as you have mentioned specifically, we have been putting some effort into fixing things that are behaving badly because we're using the create creature off screen feature. But we don't want to just straight up remove a function from the game without being completely confident that it would not break things. And there's no way that we can.
No, we can't, because I'm certain there's a bunch of user created content out there that uses that.
So the right way to deal with that is to continue to do data fixes and things like that to more and more make sure that things are not relying on the usage of it.
Yeah, and bound it wherever we can.
Yeah.
So the answer is try and fix it where we can, but I think there's not a ton we can do there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is data fixes, and our data team are continuously working on these things. I would have to look directly at our bug database to confirm this, but I feel like another one of those bugs may have been fixed for 2.6. Yep. So, it's the sort of thing.
I think one of the key things to call out is like we can't just go in and wholesale delete things and start over on a lot. We're basically building on, like, we're on the 4th level now, and down beneath us are where the huts used to stand. And there's still some rooms down there, and there's kind of squishy, but we continue to build on top of things and march it forward because we don't want to break not only original game content, expansion content, but also community created content. So there is a ton of extra work there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, looks like we are running out of time. We got about a minute left, so why don't we do a wrap up and give away a T-shirt?
I kind of like T-shirts though. I want more T-shirts for myself.
I'm pretty sure you're allowed to just claim any T-shirt you want in the office.
Well, that's a crazy thing. At home, I've got 3 T-shirts in my dresser, and they're all the wrong size. I'm like, oh, I got what? It's like a triple XL. I'm like, how did we ever get this thing made? And then I've got a medium. I'm not going to wear a medium. It's going to be like a half shirt. That's not a good look for me. My beach days are over. I'm getting old. I'm getting old, boys.
So to recap, we are still hiring. We are hiring more people than we previously were. If you are a network administrator, an IT guy, we have a position for you.
Yep. And continuing to hire C++ devs with console experience. So we're definitely interested. And let's give it away, the T-shirt. So last T-shirt, another gray PST to Tovin McKelly.
Tovin_McKelly. You won the Planescape T-shirt.
Well done.
Thank you very much for watching today.
Yep, one of 200.
Yes. And we'll see you guys again next time.